Live feed on Shabbat channel, man. Let's get to the word of God. True godly. Listen, all the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Like chapter 5, verse 7, then I'm going to conclude this book that I've been in for a long time, NFL 1970, the inaugural season of the NFL. The impact of the 1970 season. I'm going to get into that and I'll do the epilogue tomorrow. So I'm going to go through all this during this hour of 12 noon. Let's get to the word of God first. I'll start with, bounce around a little bit. All right, blessed are the merciful. Now, this is the first major test in the Beatitudes. The previous verse brings to the crossroads like, are we truly hungry and thirsty after righteousness? Are you hungry for righteousness? Thirst for righteousness, stuff like that. True graciousness is showing mercy, is letting people off the hook. It's doing what you can do to see they never get caught for what they did to you. You don't even tell people what they did to you. True graciousness is not reminding people of their faults, their failures, or the past. It's not even letting on as if you know what they have done. It's letting them save face, to use a familiar expression. It is giving them every break, refusing to throw the book at them, refusing to point the finger at them, even at those who annoy you. Instead of giving them a guilt trip for what they did, you set them free. That is being merciful because it is the way God is. The Greek word for mercy is eleos. Opposite of orgy is wrath, or even dike, justice or righteousness. Eleos in Greek thought was seen as an emotion. The Stoics regarded eleos as a sickness, something unworthy of a sage. But in the New Testament, eleos is a gracious action, not merely an emotion. There's an equivalent word, orthidemos, which means pity or felt sympathy. So in Luke chapter 6, verse 36 is used, be merciful just as your Father is merciful. So being godly is not giving justice what they deserve, but mercy is what they don't deserve. So grace is giving people what they don't deserve, favor. Mercy is not giving what they do deserve, justice. I was shown mercy. Mercy triumphs over justice. So when you show mercy, you are being truly godly. So you must be merciful to others. Easier said than done, but we gotta be merciful. So it comes as a surprise. None of us will be ready for this as Jesus put this beatitude first on the list. He reaches us where we are, leading us step by step, beginning with brokenness. He takes us through dignifying the trial, meekness, and then hunger and thirsting after righteousness. But when you or I are unable to truly show mercy, it means a formidable breakthrough in our Christian walk. So, for example, those who have been deeply hurt, abused as a child, if that was the case, or rejected by a parent or authority figure, lied about, they lost a job unfairly, they were betrayed, maybe their spouse was unfaithful. Look at Joseph. He dreamed he could throw the book at those brothers who were so cruel to him. But when the day came that he might have thrown the book at him, he broke down and wept. Show mercy to them. Come close to me, he says, and wanted to love on them. So what a breakthrough it was for Joseph when he totally forgave his brothers. It defies the natural explanation. The man's most natural thing in the world is to want vengeance and to see your enemy punished. The most unnatural, but you gotta be supernatural, is when you show mercy and totally forgive the one who has hurt you. So anybody that has hurt you, you must show mercy to them. An act of a will. Total forgiveness is a choice we have to make. So Joseph could be trusted with greatness. He was given a lofty position. Being made the prime minister of Egypt, he could not have known that God earmarked this for him from the beginning. But God waited until Joseph forgave for his brothers before he was exalted. He would do that for you too. There's something you can do that nobody else can do as well as you can. But nobody knows about me. I replied, God will find you. He knows your address. He has been preparing you too for a special work. But you will almost certainly not know what he has in store for you until you, like Joseph, told you, forgive those who have hurt you. The greatest breakthrough you will ever have is to tear up that record of wrongs. Ronald Reagan said it in Berlin years ago. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. I say to you, tear up that record of wrongs. Love keeps no record of wrongs. First Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. When you show mercy, the angels say, congratulations, you graduate to a high spiritual level. So when you show mercy, no anger or justice, you enter a new conversation with God. You enter into the Father's blessing. It's like hearing the words, come you are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, is when you know you're pleasing the Father. It is what brings a real fellowship with the Father and a new intimacy with the Holy Spirit. You are being merciful like your Father is merciful. You are passing the Father's blessing to others. When he calls you blessed, it's because he has given this to you. Your being merciful means you are passing this blessing to others. You treat others as you treated you. You know the feeling when God didn't throw the book at you. We call it the golden rule: do unto others as you will have do to them. Luke chapter 6, verse 31. Do to others as you will have them do to you. We all know full well how we would prefer to be treated. Everyone must meet prefers everyone you meet prefers to be treated like kindness, with kindness. The beggar who's struggling, the person who's hurt by racial prejudice, the person who has a low IQ, the person without a job. You all know the feeling when they have the finger pointed at them, they are shown kindness. Two kinds of mercies. It's affectionate mercy. You must have affectionate mercy. It's when you feel affection toward the person. And Job said to his brothers, come close to me. He was feeling genuine affection toward them. When you feel affectionate toward people who have been unkind to you, they will probably feel it when you are near them. That is one of the differences between a stiff upper lip, which you may leave you cold, and the genuine love that emanates from someone. Therefore, however, another kind of mercy, aggressive mercy. You go out of your way, possibly overruling your personal feelings. You do what is required. James talks about looking after orphans and widows in distress. You may not necessarily feel affectionate toward those you are being merciful to, but but you do it because it is right to do. It is remembering the poor man. You're carrying out a Christian duty. If anyone has material possessions, sees a brother's need, but has no pity on him, how can the love of God be in him? The pity, however, is not always an affectionate feeling, but a following through with what God tells us to do. The promise of the merciful. The promise of the merciful, they will be shown mercy. Because it's true, the mercy will show, follow you. Give it, and it will be given to you. So in this beatitude, Jesus motivates us to show, we see by the promise that we too will be shown mercy. God remembers, he knows what we do. He makes a note in his book. God's not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people seem to help them. Love your enemies as you must do good to them. Lend them without expecting to get anything back. And your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, because he is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. Merciful just as your Father is merciful. You ask him that get enough reason to pray those who hurt you, to turn the cheek, to give to those who ask, to let people take advantage of you, and indeed reason enough for being kind to those who are ungrateful. Godliness is being like God. Godliness is some. Besides keeping outward morality and showing external appearances also by what they don't do. True godliness is manifesting the mercy to others that God shows to us. God sent his Son into the world. Why? Because show mercy to forgive us. So moreover, God is doing that all the time with all of us. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives. It's the hardest thing in the world to do. Yet the irony is, it is the fairest thing in the world to do. Not to show mercy is to be self-righteous and ungrateful. But God gives a pragmatic reason for being merciful. It works. We will be shown mercy down the road. Count on it. God will see to it. All right, so I'm gonna be done. I'm done with that. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Chapter 5, verse 8. Seeing the glory shall be tomorrow. Okay, let's get to the NFL book. 1970 season, the impact of the 1970 season. Most important season, make a case ever in the history of the NFL and pro football is the 1970 season. Let's break this down. I'm gonna stay on this for I'll read this whole chapter. The first season in the newly merged NFL left a tremendous impact on the game, set the events in motion to which we know the game as it is today. Super Bowl V was the springboard to what would become a major sporting bonanza that every football fan waits for every year. With the merger, there were no more two different leagues playing for superiority. The thought that Super Bowl V had no underlying storyline as the previous four Super Bowls was quickly wiped away, as shown by fan interest by the attendance record set at Miami for the game and the television audiences who viewed the game. Fans eventually acclimated to the American Football Conference and the National Football Conference of the new NFL, with the victors of those conferences fighting it out at the end of the season. The 2 week gap between the conference championship games allowed suspense to build as the media presence grew dramatically. By 1974, the event had grown to such proportions that Norman Vincent Peale declared that if Christ were alive, he'd be at the Super Bowl. From a financial standpoint, the NFL outdid its competitors in baseball, basketball, and hockey, especially to see who would be the champion. While viewership for the World Series, NHL, NBA Finals are highly dependent on whether large markets teams or major stars participate or not, Super Bowl ratings are almost unaffected by those factors. The NFL's revenue sharing arrangement allows small market teams to remain competitive and even become national brands. The coming decade, known by many pro football historians and fans of the Super 70s, truly lived up to its name. After the 1970 season, the game experienced tremendous growth during those 10 years. All three networks like ABC, NBC, CBS all had major contracts to televise pro football games. Monday Night Football became a staple in prime time on Monday night, which still exists after 50 years. With these television contracts, NFL found a financial partner that would help grow the game from being a localized sport in a specific geographical location, and television expanded the game into the national pastime. With the expansion of football into other markets, merchandising, advertising went in with the game into these new territories. Many advertisers were more than happy to pay top dollar to promote their products during Sunday afternoons and Monday nights, knowing full well most of the nation was watching the games would be tempted to buy what they were selling. Even with television expansion to other markets, overall attendance at regular season and postseason games increased in many other league cities each year. League cities each year. Super Bowl became an undeclared national holiday. 6 years later, after the merger, the NFL was high in demand and expanded in 1976 with franchises in Tampa Bay and Seattle. In the 1970s, changed the NFL in many ways. Owners started to see the money pour in from all the revenue earned from the attendance of games, television contracts, and merchandise sold. While the owners' pockets was being filled, the players themselves wanted more of a share. They wanted higher salaries. Because of this, there were two player strikes. No freedom, no football was the chant. The decade ushered in free agency, where teams would bid for marquee players. Competition from the World Football League only furthered the continuity of the brand in the NFL, as well as trying to break the monopolistic hold that the NFL had on the game. New and increasingly modern stadiums also started to expand the NFL landscape. Multi-purpose stadiums service both football and baseball teams in 70 cities. Though many fans thought these stadiums lacked any character or were cookie-cutter carbon copies of one another, the crowd still came out to see the game. Luxury boxes were created. Better seating for the fans put those old stadiums like War Memorial Stadium, Buffalo out to pasture. It was outdated and irrelevant to the game. The popularity of pro football was well documented by NFL Films. Founder and owner Ed Sable and Steve's son Steve pioneered the filming of games. As the merger, NFL Films grew to massive proportions. Before there was cable TV to give us the rundown of the scores and action, programs such as This Week in Football, This Week in Pro Football, NFL Game of the Week were the backbone of NFL Films television schedule. NFL Films is the primary vehicle by which the game has become popular. The 1970s saw the players vie for the limelight. Gone were the days when there was a protocol for behavior from the players. Players now were more colorful, using emotional expressions such as dancing when they scored a touchdown in the end zone. as NFL films captured the action. Film crews were also panning the sidelines for team reacts to play. So a play, it was now in style to see the players mug for the camera to raise a number one gesture with their index finger or smile into the camera to say hi mom. Superstars also saw opportunities elsewhere in movies, on television commercials. Running back O.J. Simpson from the Buffalo Bills became a speaker for the rental car company Hertz. And Pittsburgh Steelers defensive lineman Mean Joe Green became a spokesperson for the soft drink Coca-Cola. Old school, old style coaching versus new style coaching emerged. Visions of Vince Lombardi as a stern disciplinarian strategist were giving way to a new breed of coaches. The nice guy, the father figure, the players' coaches became in vogue. Like rookie coach Don McCafferty, the Colts exemplified this nice guy approach. It was a stark contrast to his predecessor, Don Shula, who was well steeped in the old harsh coaching style. McCafferty's nice guy image was rewarded hosting the Vince Lombardi Trophy in 1970. Baltimore Colts defensive end Bubba Smith once claimed rookie head coach John McCafferty, Don McCafferty was such a nice guy that he didn't want to play bad, disappoint him to the point where he could lose his job. Coaching styles like Tom Landry still was seen as a pillar of the old coaching styles. Tom Landry, he really showed emotion, was a disciplinarian strategist throughout. When 1977 rolled around, his players started to show their expressions on the field. Landry had to let it go. That Dallas team won the Super Bowl that year. John Madden set few rules for the Oakland squads. They were a colorful bunch with names such as Snake, Fool, and Dr. Death. This team's distinctive personality that set it apart from all others of the 1970s was the perception that this was a group of outlaws and rebels who thumbed their nose at convention. And that to this fact, many were cast offs from other teams for behavior to other issues that truly to male misfits. The affable John Madden was a perfect coach, was able to take this group of irrepressible adults and mold them into a feared championship football team. This was a hard partying, hard practicing team, even with all the pranks the players pulled while preparing for the season. It was a fun loving, wild group of men who John Madden somehow molded into winners. Partially, he did it by letting them have their fun and treat them like men, but making sure that they practiced played hard. While they might have been a wild, fun loving bunch, they loved football and wanted to win. And the Braves won Super Bowl 11 over the Vikings in 1977. Playing styles were also changing. Offensive favored a brutal rushing attack by Miami with Larry Zonka, Jim Kick, and Mercury Morris. To propel offenses, it was old school football that led the Packers a decade before to many championships. The further innovation of strategy in the offense to the passing game made the mid to late 1970s a huge time for a change in the NFL. The shotgun offense was revived by Dallas head coach Tom Landry. The spread formation that he called it in 1975 helped to open up the passing game by positioning the quarterback several yards behind his center. Once he caught the center snap, the quarterback would have more time to read the opposing defenses and more time to throw the ball. Landry realized the pro game by the end of this decade was leaning more to a wide open style of football, where running ball became increasingly prevalent. And most teams today employ some version rather, or another of the shotgun, a testament to Landry's vision. The NFL Rules Committee grew too, comprised of some coaches, front office people, and referees. It saw a need for innovation and change to make the game more exciting and safe at the same time. Here's the rundown of the rule changes after the 1970 season. 1972, the inbounds lines or hash marks were moved near the centers of the field, 23 yards, 1 foot, 9 inches from the sidelines. The method of determining the won loss percentage and standings changed. The tie games previously not counted in the standings were made to a half game won and a half game loss. 1973, a jersey numbering system was adopted. April 5th, 1 to 19 for quarterbacks, especially 20 to 49 for running backs and defensive backs, 50 to 59 for centers and linebackers, 60 to 79 for defensive linemen and interior offensive linemen other than centers, and 80 to 89 for wide receivers and tight ends. Players who had been in the NFL in 1972 continued to use old numbers. 1974, sweeping rule changes were adopted to add action and tempo to games. One sudden death overtime period was added for preseason and regular season games. Goalposts were moved from goal line to end lines. Kickoffs were moved from 40 to 35-yard line. After missed field goals from beyond the 20, the ball was to be returned to the line of scrimmage. Restrictions were placed on members of the punting team to open up return possibilities. Roll blocking and cutting of wide receivers were eliminated. The extent of downfield contact a defender could have with an eligible receiver was restricted. The penalties for offensive holding, legal use of the hands, and tripping were reduced from 15 to 10 yards. Wide receivers blocking back toward the ball within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage were prevented from blocking below the legs. So in 1976, there were owners who adopted the use of two 30-second clocks for all games, visible to both players and fans to note the official time between the ready for play signal and snap of the ball. 1977, you had a 16-game regular season. A 4-game preseason was adopted to begin in 1978, but a second wild card team was adopted for the playoffs beginning in 1978, with the wild card teams to play each other and the winners advanced to a round of 8 postseason series. Rule changes were adopted to open up passing game to cut down on injuries. Defenders were permitted to make hand contact with eligible receivers only once. The head slap was outlawed. Offensive linemen were prohibited from thrusting their hands to opponent's neck, face, or head. Wide receivers were prohibited from clipping, even in the legal clipping zone. The NFL in 1978 continued a trend toward opening up the game, where rule changes permitted a defender to maintain contact with the receiver with 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, but restricted contact beyond that point. The pass blocking rule was interpreted to permit extending of arms and open hands. 1979, NFL rule changes emphasized additional player safety. The changes prohibited players on the receiving team from blocking below the waist on the kickoff, kick punts, field goal attempts. Prohibited the wearing of a torn, altered equipment, exposed pads that could be hazardous. Extended the zone in which there could be no crackback. Blocks. Instructed officials to quickly whistle a play dead when a quarterback was clearly in the grasp of a tackler. The 1970s saw pro football grow to all kinds of proportions. It all started with that unvented season of 1970. All the gripes of the merger, a Super Bowl debacle, squabbles in the front office. 1970 proved to be the spark that lit the flame for the NFL's future. 1970 season changed pro football forever. A new league, new divisions, new rivalries, more money, more television coverage, more attendance records. A new decade put pro football on the dawn of the modern era. So that's it for that being an epilogue. Uh, Tomorrow post 1970 playoff teams. So that's it. I'm done for today. Thanks for tuning in. So that's it. I'm done. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow for the epilogue post 1970 playoff teams. And that'll be it. So thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and be like chapter 8. Seeing the glory, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Go over that. Matthew chapter 5, verse 8. Some on the Mount book, and then epilogue post 1970 playoff teams for the NFL 1970 inaugural season of the NFL. New NFL. So until then, talk to you tomorrow.